What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Big 12 football channel.
Baylor, Oklahoma, Big 12 championship game. I think the toughest conference championship game to predict. You look back at their matchup earlier in the year. Baylor dominated the first half. Oklahoma dominated the second half. What's going to happen this time? I think we're going to get a really close game. I think this will be a very fun matchup. And if you want to see what NCAA football thinks about this one, you can check out our simulation tonight. We will show this game, and we'll see who comes out on top there. These rankings were not updated. I apologize. I made this graphic before. But Baylor, Oklahoma, in this one, they are now number 6 and 7. The game will be at noon Eastern time on ABC. Oklahoma favored by 8.5 points in this matchup. Over under is 62.5, so they're expecting a game, 31-30 type game. And again, Oklahoma favored by more than a touchdown. And it's crazy because you go back to that first half. Baylor dominated this game. They were forcing turnovers. They were doing whatever they wanted on offense. And it looked like it was going to be a blowout. And of course, Oklahoma came back. They started taking care of the football. Their defense played a lot better. Was it because Baylor got conservative offensively, or was it because Oklahoma just started playing better? I don't know. It was really tough to tell. Baylor's been on a tear since that game. They dominated against Texas. They blew out Kansas this past weekend. Oklahoma looked really good against Oklahoma State. I think both teams coming into this game, they're playing really good football. And again, I think that's why this is going to be a very, very close matchup, a very fun matchup to watch. You'll see the points per game here. Oklahoma does have an advantage. Obviously, every year they seem to lead the country in points per game. Although I don't know if I think LSU may be ahead of them this year. I didn't look at those numbers, but still impressive. 44.3 points per game. Points allowed per game. Baylor getting it done there, only giving up 18. Oklahoma gives up 24. The total yards per game, Baylor's, that's pretty solid. 445 yards per game. That's not bad at all. But look at Oklahoma's numbers. 564 yards per game. And everyone says that Oklahoma is just a running team. They can't throw the football. Well, they're throwing over 300 yards per game, 304 yards per game passing. Baylor at 258, and then on the ground, Baylor at 186, with Oklahoma at 260 yards per game, as they have been very balanced. This is not a run-only team. This team is very balanced, and I think Jalen Hurts is a little bit underrated as a passer. And some of those games, CD Lamb was banged up. You lose him. At times he's turned the ball over, but I still think Jalen Hurts is just fine as a passer. Maybe not one of the best passers in the country, but still pretty good. And you look at the yards allowed per game. It's interesting. Baylor has a 6-point advantage in points per game given up, but you look at the yards, and Oklahoma actually has the advantage, only giving up 336 yards per game. Baylor giving up 350 per game. So which defense actually is better based off of those numbers? It's tough to tell. Baylor has a very good defense, but Oklahoma is improved, and they've started getting those turnovers. They went through that huge stretch where they couldn't take the ball away at all, and maybe that's why they're doing good as far as the yardage goes, maybe not the points, because they weren't getting any turnovers. But now they've started to get them, and that could be a really, really big key to this game is turnovers. Maybe the key to this game. Passing yards allowed per game, both teams pretty even there, and on the ground they're pretty even. So these defenses, in my opinion, are pretty even. I think, again, Baylor has had more success forcing turnovers. Oklahoma, though, is not bad at all. And if the turnover battle is even in this game, I think it's going to be a one-possession down to the last second type of game. If one team has 3 turnovers and the other has 1, I think the team with the less turnovers is probably going to win by a couple of touchdowns. I think that's how big of a deal that's going to be. And again, you go back to the first game. That was the whole story in that one. Oklahoma turned the ball over in the first half. They struggled. Second half, they got a takeaway or maybe 2 takeaways in that game. And that was a big story in that matchup, and so that's going to be the key. Who can take care of the football? I think these offenses are going to have a lot of success in this game. I think you're going to see Baylor a lot more aggressive, more like they were in that first half against Oklahoma. We know what we're going to get from Oklahoma's offense. They're going to put up points, and I think this game turns into a little bit of a shootout. I think although these defenses are improved from where we've seen compared to a lot of the Big 12 defenses, I still think the offenses are going to have a big day. I think both teams will do a good job taking care of the football. I don't think you're going to see a bunch of turnovers. It's impossible to predict turnovers, and again, that's the X factor. But both teams have been in a lot of close games. Both teams are battle tested. I think it's just one of those games that it comes down to almost who has the ball last. And I think when it gets down to the fourth quarter, the team that I trust, the team that I think will win this game is Oklahoma. I'm going to go with Oklahoma. It's a tough pick. I could see it going either way. Again, Baylor has been playing really good football. If they can play like they did in the first half against the Sooners, they're probably going to win this game. But I'm going to go with Oklahoma 38-35. I think it is a close game. I think they win it maybe with a field goal or a late touchdown. Again, I think it will be exciting. I think it will be close. I think it'll be high scoring. And it's one that really flip a coin because I could see it going either way. But I think Jalen Hurts wants it a little bit more. The Oklahoma team wants it a little bit more, and they find a way to get it done in the fourth quarter. I could easily go with Baylor in this matchup, though. Again, it's one I could see going either way. And I would love to get your picks. Who do you have in this matchup? Because I think it's impossible to predict. The other conference championship games, I feel pretty good about my picks. I think I mean, some of those are obviously pretty easy games to predict, but this is the one that I'm having a hard time with. So who do you have, Oklahoma or Baylor?